them against us, who is doing this, who is doing that. I may not vote for Adani myself, but what I want to say on the floor of this house is that for those of us who are against Adani, let us now give alternative views. Let us now give alternative ways that we can improve our airport, Mr. Speaker. We can't just be saying, oh, Adani was bad, without giving any alternative, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to give you a very good example. If today we did not have this expressway, because this expressway also came through PPP, how shall we be accessing our airport today from this point? Today you can take less than 10 minutes to go to the airport. If this expressway was not there, how will you reach the airport? Mr. Speaker, these are hard questions we must ask ourselves. We cannot do politics at the expense of killing the country. Expressway is a good example of a PPP. It might have been done expensively. The cost might have been high, but it is serving the purpose that it was meant for. Many Kenyans today, everybody today who can afford to pay asks you, how can I access the expressway, from which point? When you are coming from Southern Bypass, you want to access the expressway. When you are coming from Thika Superhighway, you want to access the expressway. Why? Because it has made life easy. That is what PPP does, Mr. Speaker. It makes lives better. But I hope now, and I pray, Majority Leader, that in the subsequent decision that is to be made on this issue, transparency will be done. We need to get the next person, the next company that is going to do the PPPs. We want Kenyans to be on board. We want Kenyans to be carried on board, Mr. Speaker, through transparency and accountability. Mr. Speaker, my second issue that I took note in the speech, Mr. Speaker, is about Chief and SHA. Mr. Speaker, it's a very good idea. It's a very brilliant idea for us to transform the health sector of this country. And universal health care has been in all manifestos, Mr. Speaker. It's a constitutional, right that every Kenyan must get health care, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, the idea and the laws we have passed here are very good. That's underpin the universal health care, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, but the way it has been rolled out, I believe is not in the right way, because many Kenyans are not aware of the transfer from NHIF to SHA, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, even when IEBC is conducting mass registration of voters, there's a lot of campaign in the media, there's a lot of campaign in the print media, in the radios, Mr. Speaker, asking people, umejiandikisha je? This one, nobody hears anything about it. We need to do a serious campaign so that Kenyans can know that there is a new program called SHA that is taking over the NHIF program, Mr. Speaker. On that front, Mr. Speaker, I think we can do better, because Kenyans need to be made aware about the benefits of the new system called SHA, Mr. Speaker. And me personally, I believe, because I participated here in passing those laws, if that program is implemented properly, Mr. Speaker, it is going to solve a lot of problems in the healthcare, Mr. Speaker. It is going to solve a lot of problems. But we need to do more awareness, create more, people, Kenyans, to know that there is a new program that is taking place in the country. Mr. Speaker, the issue on the President raised about the conflict of interest bill. Mr. Speaker, if you look at that bill, you will think that people who publish that bill publish it for the purposes of dealing with members of parliament only. It's like a bill that was meant for MPs only, not other people, other Kenyans who are holding offices like CSS, PSS, parastatal heads. It was purely about members of parliament. The thing must be put in broader perspective. Everyone who is holding an office must be part and parcel of that conflict of interest bill. It's not members of parliament only who do business. Other Kenyans who are in high offices also do businesses. So when you are targeting certain segment of the Kenyan, leadership, they have to revolt. That is why in the Senate they did 20 amendments on the bill. That's why the bill now is in mediation committee. Mr. Speaker, we need to look at that thing holistically. Because it looks like it was targeting. They thought people who are politically exposed are only members of parliament. No. Anybody who holds an office that has been created politically, even the executive is a politically created offices. Those are PEPs. Those are politically exposed people. They must come into this public, it's called what? Conflict of interest bill. So we are going to look into that bill and make sure that all Kenyans who are in different positions, from the chief, from the sub-chief, all the way to the president, from the member of parliament to the MCA, to county officers, chief officers, I don't know what they are called, all those people must be part of this conflict of interest bill. If we are going to drain the swamp, let us drain it properly. Don't just target members of parliament here. Some of these people here are peasants. They are just farmers. They don't even do businesses. Some of them are butchers like Ichungwa. They are running butcheries, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, when you're targeting only those people, then you have ulterior motives. I don't know where that bill came from. But that is why it has not gone through. So, Mr. Speaker, if we can look at it holistically, so that everyone is covered under that bill, so that we finish this issue of conflict of interest once and for all, then that will be good, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the other issue that I took note in the President's speech is the gender-based violence, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that's a very, very sad thing, that our women are being killed, Mr. Speaker, by people whom they trust, by people who stay with them, Mr. Speaker, like what happened the other day in Isili, Mr. Speaker. A family, a lady and her daughter and her niece were all killed at the same time, Mr. Speaker, for no apparent reason, for reasons that are not known, Mr. Speaker. There are other women that have been killed elsewhere in apartments, Mr. Speaker, Airbnb. They were the ones who were killed in Kware area, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that requires full attention of the law enforcement, Mr. Speaker, Department, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, women cannot live in fear in this country. Women must live with freedom, Mr. Speaker, and do whatever thing they want to do, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I want this matter that has been raised by the President to be addressed properly, Mr. Speaker, by the law enforcement, by the police, by the DCI, and everyone who are concerned, Mr. Speaker, so that our women can feel safe, Mr. Speaker. If a woman is not safe, a man cannot be safe, Mr. Speaker. The safety of men is intertwined with the safety of women, Mr. Speaker, and that is a serious matter that the President has raised, Mr. Speaker. Even though the President stretched it a bit, and I felt a bit, it was unfair to men once in the speech, Mr. Speaker, but that's now beside the point, because it is about femicide now, and this matter must be handled. Mr. Speaker, the President raised the issue of demonstrations and said that he supports and he acknowledges that Article 37 of the Constitution allows people to picket and demonstrate peaceably. But Mr. Speaker, I want to also say that the national security organs must be very careful on how they deal with the demonstrators, Mr. Speaker, because we don't want life lost under demonstrations that have been allowed by the Constitution, so long as they are peaceful, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, people should not forget that demonstrations are an important thing, Mr. Speaker. The people who are not now feeling good about it might need it tomorrow, Mr. Speaker. And the people who are using it now might not need it tomorrow also, Mr. Speaker. That is how it goes. The majority leader might not need demonstrations at this point in time. But at a certain time, hapa mbele, he might be the one leading demonstration in the country, Mr. Speaker. So we have to get a balance. We have to get a balance on how to allow the people who want to demonstrate and the people who don't want it. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, this is something that is commonly important to every one of us as politicians, Mr. Speaker.